You hear what song that is, Leroy?
That's my man, Kim. Yes, sir. Uh-oh. I might be lost you. Hang on for a second to see if you come back. We'll see. She'll be right back. There she go.
I don't know what's going on. Look, like they say, it must be going good. Do a good show. That happened one other time before, really? But that's all right. We're gonna keep going. And I was like, I don't know what they're doing. But this scene. So before people, if they see it behind you, so they know what movie we're talking about. But absolutely. This scene, when they played this entire song, yes. When they are going on a ride,
yes.
OMG, that is one of the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Hi everybody. Welcome to More Than Just a Movie, where Leroy and I break down classic Black films. I am Kendell Lenice. That's Leroy Mckenzie Jr. And the month of August, we are breaking down not all Tyler Perry movies, but 5 Tyler Perry movies. It's Tyler Perry month, the month of August. If you're just tuning into the show for the very first time, last month we did Spike Lee. Before that, this is like episode 21, 22. Wow. So we just started last year dedicating a month to someone. But the other movies we've done is Love Jones, Love and Basketball, Boomerang, Friday, Babs. What else? We've done so many other movies. So if this is your first time discovering this channel and this show, do us a favor and go to the playlist More Than Just a Movie and watch all of them. I guarantee you 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 of your favorite movies are part of that list. This is a great show. I look forward to Wednesdays every single week. In September, we're going to change it to prime time. So September, we're going to change the time to 7:00 p.m. But in September, but August, we're still at our 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to give a shout out to Basine, our favorite viewer who always views us live on this show. She's not feeling well. I'm not going to tell her business, but our prayers, Leroy and I, our prayers are with you and your family for a speedy recovery. God got this, girl. Y'all gonna be fine. All right. So, as you heard, I was playing this song. That's Kim. Can you feel it? Today, we are doing Tyler Perry's movie, Good Deeds. Well, Tyler Perry likes to say, Tyler Perry presents Good Deeds. He's gonna put his name on everything.
On everything.
On everything. Every movie is Tyler Perry. He don't want you not to know that it's a Tyler Perry production. Sure. Let me tell you, my grandmother, who I should have said this last week, who just turned 101, she met Tyler Perry years ago during his play circuit. And she said, she was like, Tyler Perry. And he was so nice and sweet to all the older ladies. Because y'all know Tyler Perry loves some old Black ladies. Yeah. You already know he liked grandmama and aunties and them. And she was like, he was so nice and so sweet. So let me give you a quick, welcome, Leroy, before I go into everything with Good Deeds. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Miss Lady. Oh, we done jazzed up the studio now. We done.
I just did
my on it and everything.
Yeah, I've used this a couple times. Didn't really use it, and I'm changing some stuff around. I had it up from yesterday. If you follow me on YouTube, check it out. I was a part of Divorce Courts.
Yeah, you have to tell us about that. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I on Divorce Court. You know, you
gotta see the YouTube. YouTube right after that. But It was a good day. So check out that YouTube. But
I'm gonna tell you something. You be doing stuff. I'll be like, hold up, wait a minute, how'd she do that? You done got stories on celebrities and stars and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, okay. Let me see you pop Tyler Perry up here, okay? Disconnected.
If I can, I would give you and me a job, a paying job.
Now you know what? I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they do the filming of Divorce Court on his lot.
You know what? I'm so glad you said that, and you're absolutely right. You reminded me of that, because even on my YouTube video that's on here that I talk about the experience, it's East Coast time. And I totally, and I was like, well, he's on the East Coast. I'm not sure where he is. I thought that it was LA, but originally years ago, it was in a different studio, but I've totally forgot. You're absolutely right. I remember when that came out. It's on his set. So I didn't say that part in the YouTube video, but you're absolutely right. So look at that, how that just kind of went into that. Ain't that something?
So Mr. Perry, if you see this, come on, holler at us for a second. We just want to talk. Give us 2 minutes. That's all. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. And you can put this show on your network. I mean, you got affiliations with BET Plus. You got affiliations. I don't know if you still have them with OWN, but you got your own studio, your own shows. Have you ever thought about doing a show like this? If you have, Mr. Tyler Perry, we would love to be a part of it. So we're talking about Good Deeds. So the movie Good Deeds is actually one of my favorite Tyler Perry movies. And I know Family That Prays, we talked about that, but this was the first movie that Madea wasn't the focal point.
Was it? Was it the first
one? This was the 12th Tyler Perry movie, but the first one where Madea wasn't the star of the show.
Outside of Madea.
So Good Deeds came out February 24th, 2012. In the box office, it made $35.6 million, and it took him, I don't want to say only like his chump change, but only $14 million to make it. It was the budget. And Tyler Perry, everybody knows Tyler Perry films quickly. But this movie was very quality. It was well written. The casting was perfect in this movie. The story was right on point. And I absolutely love this. This is one of, like, again, my favorites. I've seen it a million times, and every time I see it, I cry. When she gets put out, we're going to talk about that. When she gets put out and her stuff is there, and her money from the mattress is gone, the little baby stuff is there. I know that feeling of you can't catch a break. I've been there financially where you feel like you can't catch a break. You got kids, divorced, single mom, trying to figure it out. And it seems like one thing after another. I get it. And it hits me personally, and it hits me off the screen. Even if you've never experienced, because I've never experienced that, but I know what it's like to feel that despair. When you feel like, God, I need to catch a break, right? And so that chokes me up every single time. This movie stars Tyler Perry, Tandy Newton, Gabrielle Union, Brian White, Felicia Rashad, Beverly Johnson, who went to school with both my mother and father. Fun fact. Went to high school with them.
See, you just throwing facts like that. Yeah, my mom and my dad went to school with Beverly Johnson. No big deal.
They did. Shout out to Buffalo, New York. That's where they went. They went to high school together. And Rotten Tomatoes hated this movie, believe it or not. They gave it 36%. While Tyler Perry's Ride or Die audience gave it a 76%. They absolutely loved it. And I think Tyler Perry don't care nothing about the critics and them Rotten Tomatoes. He cares about the people. Good Deeds is what we're talking about. I want to say this real quick, and then I'm going to give it to you, Leroy. I remember when Tyler Perry started coming out with his plays. And I remember paying $20, $15 for an excellent ticket at the Lyric box office, the Lyric orchestra seats. Lyric is the opera house in Baltimore, Maryland, for those watching other places. And I remember one time he was just coming out, because we talked last week when we did A Family That Prays. We talked about how Tyler Perry and his fortitude, and he put all his money into it, and only 30 people came to his first show, but he didn't give up. He pressed on. He's resilient, and now He is worth $1 billion. Hello, he is worth $1 billion. Somehow I think it's even more than that, but that's what's reported. But I can tell you this. So I remember years ago, I wanted to go see his plays. I remember I called all my girlfriends because it was a spur of the moment. The play was there. My kids, I was divorced and my kids went with my ex. I was like, okay, I ain't got no kids this weekend. I want to go to the play. So I called my girlfriends spur of the moment. They were like, I called like 4 of them. They were like, Dang, I wish you would have told me. I wish I had more notice. I got something to do. I can't, him and haw. I said, okay. So what I did is got dressed. I drove myself. I got my ticket and I went to the play. I can't remember which one. It was one of the early ones. I can't remember. I went to the play, parked my car, and I said, I'm gonna buy an orchestra seat. Because if you know about orchestra, you know that it's about 4 or 5 more people in there. So when Black folks get together, everybody's family, you don't feel alone, even if you don't know the folks. So I said, I'll get an orchestra seat. And then that way I won't feel like I'm here by myself. And I paid like $20. Now his tickets like $100 and something to go to a play. But they were $15, $20, $30. I went and got my ticket. And I saw a Tyler Perry play for the first time back, 20 years ago, 20 something years ago. And to see him now come from that, which is still good, you connect to the people, to $1 billion and making movies like this. What you think about Tyler Perry?
Well, that's what I respect about him, because both you and I remember when he first started out, and I'm trying to think if I went to see one of his plays at Morgan, at their theater that they have. I think I saw one of his plays there. I believe I did. I saw one of his plays.
Yeah,
after he had been
that's
out
a nice theater.
Absolutely. I mean, and the lyric is beautiful. I've been there for a couple of concerts.
I saw Tina Marie up in there in the lyric.
Yeah, I saw Will Downing. Was it Will Downing and Rochelle Farrell?
Oh yeah, I know that was
it was Rochelle Farrell, but absolutely, there's not a bad seat in that house. You can see, from anywhere that you are, even in the back, it's still good seats. And the sound system is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've loved it. Those are the 2 probably best places to go see a play or to go see.
Yeah, because every seat is good. I saw Tony Braxton there. I've seen.
Did you? Oh wow.
Kirk Franklin, a whole bunch of plays. Like I said, Tina Marie, Sinbad. I can't. So many. It is. It's not a bad seat.
Yeah, but I respect the businessman that he is, and he's shown to be that, to see how he grew his business from that only 30 people showing up to now billionaire status. That takes a phenomenal skill set. That takes a phenomenal mind to be able to be that disciplined and to be that focused. To be able to do that, to take your money and turn it over and turn it over and turn it over and turn it over, and to take the investment, do the right things with his investment. That's what he's done. He hasn't wasted his money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all of those things. And that's what I've said, if there was a difference between him and Spike, when it comes to who they were, I would say that's the difference. Spike's a good businessman too, but Tyler took what Spike did and he took it to that next level and said, you know what, I'm going to pour my money into building a studio. So that, and Tyler Perry was adamant. He was not going to Hollywood, because I remember him saying at his place, he was like, I'm not going to Hollywood the way that they want me to come. If they can't accept me on my terms, I won't.
Wait a minute, pause for a second. Our super fan is here.
Oh, is she there? Oh, yes.
She said, you both sound very clear today. See, she didn't know our preview, because we made it. We're stepping it up. They see, Leroy got his little mic there. We stepping it up. Yes, she said, I'm tuned in. She said, only death can keep me from it. Thanks for the shout out. She heard us. I didn't know.
Good. Feel better, babe. Feel better.
Yes, but go ahead. I had to let you know that.
Oh, no, absolutely. But his business acumen and his passion for our community
Yeah.
is shown by what
Yeah.
he's done, because he's employed, like you said, he's employed a whole lot of us.
Yeah.
And wanted to do it on those terms.
Yeah.
He wanted to be able to, I mean, he said this in one of his first plays, one of the Medea plays, I think it was the family reunion or something like that play. Mm-hmm. He was saying he was intentional on some of the actors and actresses that were with him in the plays. You see them to this day.
Yeah.
Because he has a movie coming out, or is it, no, it's a show, I'm sorry, TV show, about the strip club. They call it the Queens of some, I think it's called the Queen Pen, something like that, whatever, but it has to do with the woman boss. But who's in the movie? My boy Christian Keys. I was like,
yes.
Yep.
Let me tell you, Maxine will leave her husband over Christian Keys. My daughters sit up there. That's when I realized, okay, my daughters is like normal girls. They not little girls no more. Right there, because they think he's so fine, and so do they mama. He is. You know, we got to give credit where credit's due. And not that he's just super fine. He seems like a nice man. Yeah, he's very woke. He's a good father.
Have you ever watched him on Instagram? Because he does Instagram live a lot. Yeah, he does very Instagram live a lot. But he does. He seems to have a very level head. He takes his craft very seriously, and just seems like you said, a genuine good dude. You know, seems like a good dude. So,
but he came back around for Christian Keys because he was Sunny. Or Medea Goes to Jail. That's one of my kids and our favorite one. I would love to see Carol Pepsi Riley on more stuff that he does. He had her in Medea, A Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I know she was the jazz singer in there, but I haven't seen her in any of his stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think she's never been that spotlight type of woman,
but she wanted it, because on her unsung, she was on her unsung. Her and Bow Legged Lou was like, Tyler Perry, what's up?
Okay.
She want that coin?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And he's paved the way. I mean, you think about Tamala and David Mann.
Yeah.
The one shop. What's the married couple from the House of Pain?
Yeah.
Them. They've been with him since right? They've been with him for a long time.
Ella.
And he gave them the platforms that they had.
He loves her. Yeah. I think he loves her. She's in everything. Yeah. I think that might be one of his best friends.
Yeah.
And he loves her.
Yeah. You know, so he's done that aspect of what he's done, like Spike, is the folks that he enjoyed working with, he brought them along with him, and continues to try and give them work and continue to try to do things. You know, so that's what I think about it. Like I said, I respect the fact that that he's built his empire, and has built that studio. Because I've said that, for a long time, that there needs to be a studio that we can go to now, and that's, if that's the downside to it, I think I'm a little disappointed. I'm hoping that he will work with more directors, more writers, and other than just his projects,
to tell a different story.
Yeah, on his. I mean, and he's had some pretty big movies that have been on his lot.
Yeah.
But I think I loved it when I saw him and Oprah getting together. But he even went beyond Oprah.
Yeah.
And gave us some projects, and then dipped. But those are the kinds of things that you don't know. You don't know the whole full story. So you don't know. But he has to do with what he believes best for him. In terms of business, if it makes sense, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I get it. Now, the other stuff, like we said, we were purposeful and not covering the Medea stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we did that.
Yeah.
But it's movies like these, and you can see the writing.
Yeah.
Good Deeds, Family That Prays, Acrimony, the movies that we're going to be covering, shows the ability, his ability to be creative outside of Medea.
Yeah, because the plots are good. Like the plots and the messages are good. We have The Life of Cherish. She says all his movies are my favorite movies. She loves all of them. Thank you so much for watching us live.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. He has, for those that haven't seen it, I'm going to show the trailer real quick. and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, because this has been almost 10 years for this movie.
It don't even seem like it, does it?
Yeah. So if you ain't seen it, it's still another spoiler alert.
I grew up 5th generation Ivy League graduate, groomed by my father to be a businessman, to take over his company, groomed by my mother to be a gentleman. I was told where to stand, how to dress.
What would you like for breakfast? Egg whites and oatmeal.
Egg whites and oatmeal, and what I would be doing for the rest of my life. My life is perfect. No, you're in my parking spot.
I'll just be 1 second.
This woman left her child in the car.
I don't talk to strangers. I can literally set my watch by Wesley. He always does the same thing, and he's always gonna do the same thing.
No. I want to talk to you for just a second. What kind of mother would leave her kid in the closet?
We're just going through a rough time right now.
Surely someone in your family who can be a caregiver to this
No,
child.
we don't have family. We live in the real world.
And I don't?
No, you do not.
How much is milk,
Tell me
bro?
how much the gallon of milk costs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser.
Hey.
That's why I've got corporate apartments. You can just live here as long as you need to.
Now let somebody say that to you. You can just live here for free. Go
All this
Where do I
time
sign
making
up?
other people happy. You need to go and find what makes you really happy.
Yes.
Because you have a good heart.
It's finally living for the first time in my life.
I'm so proud of you.
Talk about you and me. I said it all comes down to it. Life isn't about how much we get. It's about how much we share.
Mm.
Good deeds.
I love that scene right there.
Now,
With the
let's
Tupac.
talk. Me too. Look how I'm dancing. One of my favorite parts too is when he's dancing to "How Do You Love Tupac? How do you like it?" Now, let's talk about this premise because I think it's so huge, right? Whether you grew up Ivy League like him or you grew up with prestige of a religious institute or prestige of class or certain type of way, however you grew up, a lot of times people are told how to sit, how to stand, how to talk. You're going to go to school, you know, in African families, you're going to go to school, you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, you're going to be something. And sometimes it's not the heart of that child who grows up, it's the heart of the parent, and this is what you're going to do. So many people, I can relate on that level where, you know, I felt like I had to be perfect or present in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't. I remember I had this conversation with my mom. She was like, nobody made you feel like that. I'm like, you don't get it. You know what I'm saying? You can't. Some people don't, where you feel like you have to be perfect or you have to grow up in a certain way or you're not allowed certain mistakes possibly, or you have to, it's not a, even though it's a freedom, it's not really a freedom because you don't want to let anybody down. You want to make sure you cross the T's and dot the I's. And I know I felt a bit of that growing up. I felt like I had to do certain things, you know what I mean? Or be certain ways, even though I was still myself. It's really a double dichotomy a little bit for me, but I still get that concept. It wasn't an Ivy League school, Ivy League. I didn't grow up rich, none of that kind of thing, but just a different moral value system. You can't do this, you can't do that, you shouldn't do this. Don't talk about personal business. Make sure you don't let too many people, like that kind of structure with, unfortunately, a lot of Black families. You don't tell nobody's business, you push this under the rug, this is how you got to do. And it's not a freedom there. When you feel like, you get that look from your mother when you get ready to just voice your opinion, they like, don't you dare say that, or don't you dare expose that. So it's almost part of that concept where you don't even know how to live as he did. Like with Deeds, he didn't know how to be. When Gabrielle Union, his wife, says, she mumbles what he's going to have for breakfast. He had the same breakfast every single day. She knew he would be home. Why? Because he came home the same time every day. Like, he didn't have fun included in that. He didn't have the moments to just be in that. And I think that was so valuable. And then how people come into your life and almost give you an unwritten permission. Like she said, Tandy Newton was like, you need to be happy. Like, I like motorcycles, but I can't drive them because they said, she's like, what you mean you can't? So she gave him the freedom where, even though his wife didn't like how he was, she didn't give him the freedom because she benefited from how he was. Like, I can hang out because he ain't gonna be home or he's not gonna care. Where someone came in to really care and said, you need to free yourself of the opinions of your mother, of the opinions of, you know, what your father left as a legacy with the company and all of that. So let's start there with the premise. What do you think about it?
Well, I do think that with with Wesley D, which is Tyler Perry's character, there was a certain aspect of it that he didn't want to disappoint his family. And I think most of us as kids, we don't want to disappoint our parents.
Right.
And parents can put undue pressure on us as kids, and then that will follow us into adulthood.
Yeah.
Now, like Wesley Deeds, he became structured. He became structured in his life. He became, okay, I eat this breakfast. I eat breakfast. I eat this particular kind of breakfast. I get up at this time. I go to work at this time. I come home at this time. It becomes that becomes routine. I don't personally see that as boring, which I think Gabrielle Union's character saw it as boring and kind of what do you call it? She took that for granted.
Because there's no spice.
Right. But see,
and people want the spice.
Well, I mean, and we'll probably talk about this, the one scene in the movie where she comes home and she's drunk and
she tells the drunk tongue told the truth.
Exactly. And she was feeling a little frisky and everything like that. So she wants to, kind of not go to the bedroom. She wants to, kind of go, elsewhere and stuff. And he's like, no. He's like, it's, somebody's gonna see us.
She's like, so?
Right. And she
wants him to live a little. And he got the button all the way up here and the tie up.
But is that living? Is that living a little because he didn't want to, kind of be exposed like that to, and that probably had to do with him worrying about what the neighbors thought of him. And I think that we do have to let go of that. We can't worry about what people think. Even like I said, he even worried about what his parents thought. And I've been, I guess, fortunate enough where I've never felt pressure from either one of my parents. They never made me feel like I had to do this. I had to do that. Now, my dad was stricter than my mother when it came to the household, as far as what you couldn't do, because he was a pastor and there was a certain way that he wanted to run his household.
Yeah.
You understand it. That's how you do it. But I never felt pressure from them that I had to do, except for with my father. Now, if you'd have asked him, I was going to be a pastor just like him. I was going to be a preacher just like him. But I was not like Wesley Deeds to say, okay, Dad, that's what you want me to do. My thing to him was, one, you don't get to dictate to me what God tells me to do. Woo! He's got to tell me that, not you. Woo! You can't tell God what I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. And many parents put that pressure. Like, I was never told you gotta be this, like you gotta be a this. I never was told that. But I can't imagine. Like, I was thinking about, like with many Africans, and I know they're told, like, you gotta be a doctor.
You gonna do this.
You gotta be a lawyer. Like, it ain't no other
or engineer, right?
Or engineer, accountant. Right. You gotta be. So I can't even understand that pressure where you can't even be free.
And I'll even give you another type of pressure. My oldest sister, she was the valedictorian of her high school. Older sister's always been smart. Always been smart. Like just the other day, she was taking another class or something like that to further her, education, everything like that. And so she was finished with a class, and we one of us asked her, what grade did she get? And of course she was like, she got like a 90 something. It was like 95 or what, a 3.8. And I was like, yeah, you always been the smart one. The stuff just comes easy to her because she was always that intelligent.
Yeah.
But her nor my parents never said, be like your sister, study like your sister.
Yeah.
And they never put that kind of pressure on me or my younger sister to have to live up to my sister's standard. Because like I said, she's intelligent. She was the first one to do everything. She had her own business. She always had the good grades. So that was a standard that could have, that my mom could have said, no, you need to be like your sister.
Yeah.
All those things. I didn't get pressure to have to follow her to school.
Yeah, and I think that's so good.
So but there are some kids who feel the pressure like Wesley Dees did.
Yeah.
He had to live up to that standard. He didn't want to be a disappointment in that kind of way. So he was going to do the right thing.
Right. So let's talk about his brother then.
I know, right? But the total opposite, right?
The rebellious one.
Which was Walter Dees, which was Brian White. He was the total opposite. Couldn't do right, wouldn't do right.
The mess up one, like the mess up child. They say that, you always got the one to, the mess up.
Alcoholic, just all
the womanizer.
Right. Just all the things you don't want your
child to take the shortcut in life.
Right.
Not following the rules.
Right.
Ready to punch a woman.
Right. Just all of those things. So you had those two dynamics in that household. Think about that. Just in that household, you had the one, rebel that says, hey, I'm just going to buck all the rules. I'm going to, buck the system and say, you know what, I'm not going to do any of that, And I think he did it. I think part of, you tell me what you think about this. He did part of that was in rebellion of how Wesley was, because Wesley was the good one. Wesley seemed to be the one that he felt like that that he was the favorite child, so his acting out to me seemed like it was a cry for attention too.
Yeah.
It was the only way that he could get the attention from his parents,
Basine said, back to Christian Keys, All the Queen's Men, the Tyler Perry's project is based off of Christian Keys' book, Ladies' Night.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So, that's beautiful too, that you have Tyler Perry, somebody that you worked with in the very beginning, has a project, and I'm sure Christian pitched it to him or he's seen it, but either way, that you allowing him to make money, because not only he's gonna be in it, this is based off of him. So that is almost like what you said, like trying to work scripts with other people.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm glad that he's deciding to do that, and he's familiar with, because he really gave Christian his start. That was the first time I ever seen Christian Keys
me too.
On on the play. I still got the DVD. We pop it in every now and then because we know all the lines. They were singing Before I Let Go at the end. They was, Sunday, all that. That's like our movie. For years, I got all the DVDs, and now they're all on BET Plus. But
okay.
All right, so we talked about the different personalities and the different ways that you can be in the same family, that you can kind of turn out, if you will. So let's talk about him not taking chances, not taking risks, doing everything by the book, being so unavailable or in tune with the real world that he don't even know how much a gallon of milk costs. He's grown up with money. The company was his father's and his parents, and so he's never had to went to Ivy League schools all the time. So then, of course, you get Natalie, who is Gabrielle Union, and she's of a certain stature. She's the kind of woman that the parents would want him to be. She's well refined. she's beautiful, she's articulate, she's educated. So it makes perfect sense how he was raised to be with a woman like that. But to be with a woman like that, she also has another side of her where she wants to be free. She wants to be, because let's just say, we don't know her complete background, but let's just say she grew up just like him. Where somebody tries to stay in those lanes, she's like, okay, I had all of this where I couldn't do this, couldn't have to be. Now that I'm an adult, now that I'm getting married and starting I want to live a little bit, but not by myself, with you. But then you have this man who has sex the same way, who wears the same clothes, who eats the same things, and he's very routine. So they say what a drunk tongue speaks a sober mind. So then you have her when she's drunk and she stays out all night, like, look, I'm bored to death. I need some type of change or switch it up. But we're gonna fast forward a little bit and come back. But then when he's thinking about what's her name? Lindsay. When he's thinking about Lindsay, they had the best sex that they've ever had because he was free to be with her. And she was very inspiring and uplifting and saying, you know, you matter. I see you. Not I don't see all of this stuff. I see you. And then Lindsay is looking at him like, where'd this man come from? Only to later to find out it was another woman that put the fuel to the fire and put the, you know, the little fire under his butt. Ooh, ouch, to give him permission. And that's really the thing. He didn't have permission to just be.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that he didn't have permission, or did he not give himself permission?
He didn't know that he could have permission. I honestly think he didn't know that it could be different, or he didn't want to disappoint his father's legacy or disappoint his mother. So he never saw a different side. Think about it. If you're growing up in Ivy League school, you're seeing people the same way. If you're growing up around rich folks, you're seeing people the same way. You're not seeing that they could be different, that I can still be me, but still do something. You heard him talk about when he wanted to get a motorcycle and they told him he couldn't. Like, he wanted to be, he tried to be, but they told him almost like, we don't do that. You know, so then you're stunting someone's growth and saying, no, we don't do that. And Lindsay's like, what you mean? Come on, let's say, here's a jacket, let's do it. And he starts to feel freedom. And we hear my song, Can You Feel It? You know, in that. And that was the first time I believe he felt free. He started changing his dress. He started loosening up. She let him hear Tupac through the Walkman, look like a Walkman, you know, through the Walkman. And he's singing Tupac and Jodeci, you know, and he goes home with it. And Natalie is like, what you singing? He was like, oh, this is just a song I heard. But when you think about the movie, you want to go on to Natalie?
Well, that's the thing. Like you talked about with Natalie, she was structured, I believe, as well. She fit into Tyler Perry's box that his family expected him to be with. She was the girl, and I guess it kind of to go to what you were talking about in the African culture, where they kind of they do the selecting of your wife for you. You know what I mean?
Arranged marriages.
Yeah, arranged marriages and everything like that. Natalie is that woman that his parents would select for him. So even being with her was because of them, I believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She fit what they wanted for him. Right. She fit that mold that this is the type of woman that we expect you to marry. Yeah. This is the kind of woman that we expect you to be with. Yeah. She's not gonna cause any trouble. She's intelligent. She knows how to carry on a conversation. She's gonna be able to be with you at those boardroom parties or be at
them little fleecy. She got the right clothes, the right look, the right hair to fit in. Where you look at Lindsay, and she's just like a bohemian free spirit. That don't meet, you know, that whole image.
Right. So that's what, and I do agree with you, what you said about Natalie, about her wanting to be free as well. And she felt like she wanted to pull Tyler, or I should say Wesley, a little, even if he had opened up a little bit more, I think she would have been happy with that. But you could tell she wasn't happy and he wasn't happy together. And
that happens so many times.
Doesn't it? It happens where people find themselves in marriages of convenience. And I think that's the worst. That's one of the worst conditions that you could put yourself in, is being with somebody that you don't love, being with somebody that you don't even care about. And I think part of that, even on Natalie's side, she had, I think we don't know her background and everything like that, but I believe her parents put the same expectations on her. You need to marry a guy who has this. You need to marry a guy that had, that comes from this family. He has to, be this and that and the other and everything like that. And unfortunately, we allow our parents sometimes to dictate who we get involved with. Who we don't get involved. Well, that person that they don't look like. I mean, you think about your relationship. Your mother be like, "Nah, I just don't like it. I just don't like."
Shoot, I've been watching Love After Lockup, and when I watched that show, the little white girl, she like the little prisoner. He got tattoos every single place in his body. He come back to the little corny white family, and here comes this black dude with tattoos everywhere. Nice looking guy. Seemed like nice enough guy, but he spent 12 years in prison, and he brings home to the little white family. The little white girl is like, this is, I love him. We got married in prison, and the parents say, we just was watching the episode yesterday. The parents say, when we raised our daughters, we didn't expect her to fall in love with a prisoner and, tattoos, but that's not the image. And most people have the image of the type, especially for women. I don't know if men have the same way, but women, like you want a certain image or a certain person for your daughter. And I don't know and I'm sure with men too, nobody, that ratchet girl might be the love of your life, but that's not intentionally what your mother would want for you, unless your mother's ratchet. And she's like, I want one just like me.
No. Or she'll be like, she knows what ratchet looks like because she used to be ratchet.
Right. So she's like, no, she want get the ratchet one because she's gonna turn out all right. Because mama used to drop it low. Look, mama used to drop it low. Now look at mama. Mama need a light too.
So it's just that's what I liked about this story. And even like we said with Tyler Perry's diving into the different aspects of life. And that's what makes a good writer. He has, there's stories within the story.
It's layers.
Exactly.
Layers to this.
Exactly. Him and Spike Lee do that so well. They're able to layer the stories. Because
you have so many different poignant moments and plots in this. You got Lindsay's thing going on with her daughter, and then she meets Mr. Deeds, but she meets him in the middle of her despair by mistake, because she worked there as a cleaning woman to his company. They always thought Mr. Deeds was an old white man.
Right.
They didn't know she's trying to get she's getting ready to get evicted. She's trying to get her I got the hiccups. Her last check. She goes there to only find out it's been garnished. A lot of people feel that. It's very relatable. Like you feel like you can't catch a break. Like it's one thing on your plate, the next thing on your plate, then you about to break. I've been there where it's like, Lord, one more thing. I'm like, God must think I'm a gorilla because he said he don't put on you more than you can bear. My back must be like a gorilla.
For real.
Right, but I get that, and I felt it. I felt it. How Tandy Newton she's an excellent actor. And then how Tyler Perry wrote it. I felt it. like, you running around. She's trying to get it. She's trying to do it by herself. She don't, she want to make sure her daughter is okay. She's like, please just give me some extra time. You go get your paycheck. You realize it's been garnished. You don't have it. You need a place to stay. You're trying to figure out where you're going to stay. The landlord tells you he's going to give you some time, only for you to find out the bad news that you don't have no money or your check, then to come back and be like, okay, all my stuff is on the street. And then the money that I did save is gone. My kids' stuff is out here. The embarrassment, the shame, the homelessness situation, you can't catch a break. So then you can't even afford daycare. That's a real issue in America. You can't afford daycare. So you got to keep your kid in the car. People have done it. It's been on the news right at Maryland Live Casino. Remember that guy kept his kid in the car? Then you have women keeping their kids in the car while they had to work. She did the same thing. It's very relatable. Had the kids in the car. I've never had to put my kids in the car, but people were doing it.
No,
while she worked, then she took her kid in the job to try to sneak, put them in the closet. Then she's being told, what, you gonna keep your kid in the closet? Then you're like, well, I gotta work. What do you do?
Here's the thing, and like when I was growing up,
rich man,
and I was in my I know I was a teenager, but my mother had always worked 2 jobs ever since I was little.
And I'm sure not because she wanted to.
Right, exactly. But there were times when, and she worked over at Security Mall. She worked at Sears and Security Mall, and I would go with her and hang out in the mall while she worked in the evenings.
Yeah.
For those 2-3 hours.
My youngest daughter had to go to work with me.
Yeah.
I had to pick her up. Pick her up on I had to literally, she was in kindergarten or pre-K where it's half day. I had to go to work.
Yep.
Then I had to drive 35 minutes to go pick her up. Then I had to drive 35 minutes back to keep her at my job for the whole afternoon. And then I had to sometimes work from 9 o'clock a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. sitting there in a little corporate building. And then I had to do it every single day.
Yep. And like you said, that's real. That
you walking around the mall because your mom wanted to make sure you were safe, so you were close by. She didn't leave you by yourself. So you still, how many people that probably work at the mall right now that their kids is walking around the mall? Seriously.
Yep.
I've heard that before. Seriously. That's real.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the shout out to you all single mothers that do what you had to do what you have to do to make ends meet and everything like that. And I think that's what was it Lindsay brought to
rent due, car breakdown, need a daycare, you need like everything at once. What do you do?
Yeah, it's like what? Yeah, and then you
no
trying
gas
to
for the
just
car.
You're just trying to juggle all these things and knowing that if one thing slips, it all comes crashing down, and that's what happened to Lindsay. From having to go get the paycheck, trying to get the paycheck, and the paycheck being garnished, to her, being late, having to try and get the payment to the landlord kicking her out, saying,
let me tell you something. When I lost my job last March, I've been doing this. I always done what I've done, life coaching, speaking, YouTube, and I've always done that part-time, but I've always had a full-time gig to sustain, worked, ran a nonprofit and blah, 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 blah. When I lost my job last March, all that stuff was happening to me. Yeah. And then I got cancer in the middle of
all of that.
So when I tell you I get it, Leroy, I get it.
Yeah.
And different points in your life, certain movies hit you differently.
Yeah. And that, with Lindsay coming into Wesley's life and like you said, telling him you don't even know what milk costs because you can't relate to what I've gone through, what I'm going through, and I think that was a good thing and a bad thing. It's a sad thing that he doesn't know what the price of milk is. You living that that life where you
and then he didn't even go to the store. He asked somebody how much milk costs.
It was like how much does a gallon of milk cost, by the way? Because he didn't. That was an aspect of his life that he's never.
Right, meaning that he didn't even have to think about it. Right. She got to decide whether she gonna get milk or she
Hello.
gonna get eggs.
Right. You know,
Or
literally.
what's she gonna get so
Right.
her child can eat?
Or like you said,
But
how am I
she could have still did the daughter's hair in the car. I'm just saying she could have still brushed her hair. I'm like, girl, you could have still brushed your child's hair in the car. You know how many hair I've done in the car when you go pick your kids up from school and you got to go somewhere else and their hair is all over their head. I done done plenty of hair in the car. Like, we can't go to the next place like this.
Looking like
what kind of day did you have? I done done her hair plenty of times in the car. She could have put a brush to that head. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And it's just interesting, the two women, and see, even that's the layer, the two women dynamic, you know, both these two different women who are on two different, who are on the opposite ends of the spectrum, just like Wesley and Walter, Wesley and Walter, they were on opposite ends of their family spectrum. Just having those two dynamics and how Wesley related more to Lindsay than he did to Natalie. You know, Natalie was that what do you call it? She was that comfort zone.
Mhm.
She was there. Okay, yeah, it's time for us to do this. Time for us to do that. Whereas Lindsay, like you said, allowed him to, hey, let's go
discover
do
who he really was and not who
right.
in my book, in my first empowerment book, my self-empowerment book, the first chapter is who were you before someone told you who you should be?
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And that's that. Like, who were you before? Because this is a prime example. Like,
Yeah.
you're someone that someone told you to be. And then
Right.
you got to wait till you, I don't know how you was in that 30 or 40 to discover who you really are. If your mother makes chicken every day, right? Then you're gonna love chicken. That's your favorite. If she makes spaghetti every day and that's what you had, you're gonna love spaghetti until you move on your own. You be like, I really don't even like chicken, or I really don't even like spaghetti. I was programmed to like that, or I really don't like this. I was because when you're little, you like what your parents like because they kind of guide it. Then if you grow up and you still like it, then that's fine. But sometimes you might be like, I don't even like it.
But see, but that was the thing about Wesley. He got stuck right there when you were talking about what his parents told him he was supposed to be. When he got older, he never experienced, instead of chicken, he never experienced turkey.
Yeah.
He never went to experience those other,
until he was with Lindsay, and Lindsay was like, let me take you to this turkey house.
Lindsay brought the turkey house to him. She introduced him to turkey, and he was like, well, you know what? Dawn, I do kind of like that. That's kind of good too. You know, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, man, I've been missing turkey all my life because the only thing that my parents gave me was chicken.
Yeah. You know, and
wow.
And that's all right. So time for some trivia, as always. So co-stars Tandy Newton, Rebecca Romney, who played Gabrielle Union's best friend, they were born on the same day, November 6, 1992. And just 8 days after Gabrielle Union was born. They're all born in the same year. Before this film, Romney and Union worked together in several episodes of the romantic dramedy series Ugly Betty. All right. And then when Wesley told Lindsay he wasn't getting married and that he was going to Africa, if you look closely, Lindsay is wearing an earring shaped like Africa. So that's so I got to go back and look at that.
Okay.
And then Tandy Newton recalls that her favorite song is How Do You Want It by Tupac, which Tupac and Tandy starred together in the film Gridlocked.
Okay.
So she worked with Pac. And what else? Oh, and also Gabrielle Union and Brian White starred together in Daddy's Little Girls. They were both in that movie.
Who was Brian White in that?
And Daddy's Little Girl.
Yeah, you remember what part he played in Daddy's Little Girl?
I remember seeing his face, but I can't remember.
Really?
Was he one of the dates?
Was it a date that he went on? It might have been, yeah, it might have been a date that they
I
went
can't
on.
think, but I remember seeing his face in it, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't
He's
remember
not one
either.
of my favorite actors. I can kind of take him or leave him.
Now I did kind of like him and Essence Atkins in that the show
Ambition.
Ambition, right? And
That
then
we
I
talked
also,
about.
yeah, and I also like the second season of Being Mary Jane. I thought she was great.
Oh, yes.
I thought she was great in
yes.
I thought Gabrielle Union was great.
I like that whole the first season of Being Mary Jane, I didn't like as much because
really?
it was a lot of cheap, only because you're messing with all these married men, you're sleeping with all of these people. But I still watched it. But as it progressed into season 2 and 3, they started being woke. They started talking about real issues. It started changing and shifting, because sometimes I don't like a Black woman on the screen sleeping with everybody and everybody's husband and all of that stuff. Like, I want to get past that. And they did. With this show, they got past that. And I loved it. Yeah. But I still watched the first season, but that was my little critique in the first. I'm like, okay, you ain't got to be messing around another Black woman and sleeping with her husband. Then next week you got this man, and then you know what I mean? So that's the part I didn't like. She said Brian Knight. That's right. Yep. Brian was the date when his wife showed up. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Yep.
That's why I said I think he was the date.
Yeah. Sure was.
Thanks, Macy. That's why I was like, I think he was the date, and then his kids came.
Yeah.
I mean, then his wife came with the kids. But of course, they were in this movie together. Yeah. So let's talk about some more about Lindsay. Yeah. So you have Lindsay. We don't really know her background other than she was married before. She struggled. She talked about it a little. Did her husband? I can't remember. Her husband died.
Yeah. I think her husband
died.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. Her husband died. And, a lot of people die, divorce, lose their job. They find themselves in a situation and they don't let the situation define. It's not it's a defining moment in their lives, but it doesn't define them. Right. So she was doing what she had to do, cleaning the offices, like we said. And then she goes in to try to find out about her check, as we talked about earlier. And she goes into Wesley's parking space. So then the hothead brother, Walter's in there like, tow her. So he, unbeknownst to Wesley, he calls a tow truck. And then Wesley gets out and sees the daughter in the back, like, hold up, it's the child in the back. So then when she comes out, he's more concerned about the child being in the back. And then she's like, okay, you told me. She cusses him out. And, she gets in the car while it's trying to be towed. And of course, Wesley has let it down. And she leaves, only to discover that that's her boss. Like, that's not her supervisor. That's the owner of where she works. And she's thinking that, oh God, I'm gonna get fired. Now what? I'm already going through this. Now I'm gonna get fired. And of course, Walter seems like he hates women, or he hates women of color, or somebody that messed him around, where he's totally disrespectful and totally out of line, and they're fussing back and forth. So then she's cleaning, sees him late at night. He discovers that the child is in the closet. And of course, he begins to almost scold her. And what are you doing? And she explains it to him. And it's like, who wants to put their child in the closet? Right. Like, it ain't because she wanted to. But he was just so disconnected with the real world and real issues that he couldn't even fathom that somebody, like, can't you get somebody to watch it? Can't you send it? Like, he couldn't even fathom the reality of the situation.
Listen, right. But let me ask you this. Do you think that because he didn't have certain experiences, that's not the real world? His real world is
true.
Is
that's his real world. You're privilege,
right. With privilege and not knowing the price of milk. That was his real world.
So I'll say he don't recognize the other world.
Right.
That most people
right. But I think that you said something key. I think that we as people, we tend to individualize things. We think that sometimes we're the only ones that have experienced something.
That's true.
Or that we're the only ones, because it happened to me, it's happened to everybody else. I mean, we talk about this all the time in relationships. when it comes to men and women,
true.
they think, well, because he dogged me, that every other man is bad.
Yeah.
Or because she did this to me,
Yeah.
every other woman is bad.
Yeah, because I used to have a girl that I worked with, and she'd be like, you know, guys don't do this, right? Or, you know, like she would put her experiences on other people. She'd be like, because you know, husbands ain't taking care of no kids. And I'm looking like, that ain't true. Yeah, because you know, husbands be staying out all night. I'd be like, that ain't true. But sometimes people be at their reality. They think it's everybody's reality. You're right.
I mean, because you and I, you know, we've grown up a certain way, you know, but at the same time, we've had some experiences that other folks haven't had, but we haven't had some experiences that we know other folks have had.
That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? So
you're right.
I know for me, I try not to do that because I understand, you know, I try to feel like, hey, I've got to say, I can't say that because this didn't happen to me, that it doesn't exist.
Because even when Lindsay tells him that you're not in the real world, that's what I was, where I was getting at from. It didn't even dawn on me when she was saying it that he is in the real world, but he's in his own world.
Right.
Like, and then just because a lot of people are impoverished or going through it or living paycheck to paycheck, some people, like during the COVID, like during the pandemic, the shutdown, some people were stuck at home or safe at home complaining when they had a pool table, a pool out, a swimming pool, a big old gym, a movie theater in their house,
everything in their house.
Money where it was just disposable. Like, you want to do Uber Eats or DoorDash every day, let's do it. So with that person, and then you had the other side who might have been in a 1-bedroom apartment with 5 people. Like, oh, we're in this house and stuff. But you had the rich people complaining just as well as maybe the people who were, you know, who were money challenged, financially challenged.
Because all of us was in the house. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. But then, you know, my daughter was like, but if we had a pool and I guess it wouldn't be bad. But see, the people who had a pool were still taking it for granted because they still were stuck in the house. So I find that so interesting that the people who don't have pools and gyms and maybe butlers or blah, 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 they were still complaining, and the people who didn't have that wish they had that. So what it tells me is that nobody is grateful for really what they have. They always want somebody else's life because they think it's better when that person has that life and they complaining too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that becomes the thing that Lindsay didn't understand about Wesley, his life, and you know, when she starts to, you know, kind of see, okay, wow, this is somebody that, you know, this is somebody that comes from a different lifestyle than what I come from, and him, you know, being open to her, you know, and I think what shifted their conversation and what kind of propelled their friendship and everything, like, was when they had the commonality of the motorcycles. When he talked about the motorcycles with her, because it was something that he liked, she loved, she had already had the passion for it, and he did as well. He had a passion for the motorcycles as well. And it became,
but he was told that he shouldn't, so he stopped.
Right. And it was how they became connected. And then to the scene that you talked about when she comes in his office and was like, hey, you want to have lunch? And she gives him the jacket. And the motorcycle is out there. He's like,
and Tyler Perry. That was the first time I said, "Oh, Tyler Perry look cute." Because you know, some people think Tyler Perry is super fine. They loved him. I know this woman who thinks he is like the old people say, the bee's knees. But the first time that I double looked is when he had that little jacket on in the office. I said, "Okay, Tyler." Okay, Emmett Tyler Jr.
I know, right? I'm gonna call you what your mama called you.
Right, I'm gonna call you what your mama calls you. But it's so funny because the scene, okay, let's talk about the scene where she's broken down. She don't have no gas. And the car, her truck is outside. Apparently, clearly, they're living in the car with all the stuff there. Tyler Perry with his nosy cell phone peeking, you know, but that's what people do. Wesley kind of peeked in, saw the daughter, and kind of scanned it and kind of seen. To me, it seemed like he's seen what was up. But even though she said she was waiting for her, she broke down and she was waiting for her boyfriend.
Right.
So the daughter, but that's just like kids, like,
just like kids, they gonna tell it. They gonna tell it. They gonna tell it.
So he's like, well, while you're waiting, and in my head, I'm like, he know this chick ain't waiting for nobody. He know, and he kind of peeked in. So I'm like, did he see the blankets? You know, because he kind of scanned it.
Right.
But so he's like, well, while you're waiting for your boyfriend, you want something to eat. Of course, the little girl jumps at it. She don't have no money. She got to feed it, so she says yes. So they go into the pizza place. And they get it. That's the first time they really get a chance to try to get to know each other. She still could have brushed that little girl's hair, but she was because at first I couldn't tell in the beginning if that was a boy or a girl.
Really? Okay.
In the beginning, because you know some little boys have a lot of hair.
Have that lot of hair.
And you know they're cute, so you can't sometimes tell. But so they go in there, and I think I was more paying attention, like they gonna leave that whole pizza on the table. I'm like, they hungry. They may want to box that up. But that's that pride.
Yeah.
That's the pride where you want to feel like, you know, you don't want to have somebody take care of you or take care of it. You want to be able to provide yourself. So she tried to make it seem like, we don't need it. And the little girl tearing that pizza up. I'm like, box that up for your kid in the car because y'all about to sleep in the car.
Right.
But
exactly.
But she did steal that tip though. She still took some of that tip.
Absolutely.
And they leave out. And then of course he's like, well, I'll wait here until your ride comes. And he's there in his fly car. And you know, she's like, oh no, he's coming. But it's so funny when he said the boyfriend had a little girl look like, you ain't got no boyfriend, girl. Did you notice how she looked at her? Like,
hey, Mama, what are you talking about?
Like, girl,
exactly.
you single with a dollar bill. That's what the little girl wanted to say. Girl, you ain't got no man. And you definitely ain't waiting for him. But so, and then the more he spends time with her, the more he begins to live and live freely. And that's the thing. And when you talk about living freely, like when you think about living freely, like what does that mean to you, Leroy, when you think about living freely? Because this is how they describe it. For all his life, wealthy businessman Wesley Deeds has done what is expected of him and settled into a predictable routine. His life begins to change, however, when he meets Lindsay Wakefield, a struggling single mother who was just evicted. Wesley offers to help Lindsay get back on her feet, though he's already engaged. Romantic sparks begin to fly. Suddenly, Wesley finds himself torn between what is expected of him and what he really wants. That's it in a nutshell.
But that was his life, though. Think about it. That was Wesley Deeds' life, always trying to live up to what the expectations that his parents placed on him. You know, what was expected was Gabrielle Union, or I should say, I'm sorry, Lindsay. It was expected.
No, Natalie.
Natalie, I'm sorry, to marry her. You know, that was expected of him. So he didn't want to, again, disappoint his parents by not marrying who they thought he should marry.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It wasn't, I don't think she was the one that he wanted to marry.
Yeah.
I think he felt like
think
that was
about
the
if he didn't meet, but if he didn't meet Lindsay, how he would have went into that marriage that he didn't even want, and how stifled he would be. And then next thing you know, he's 60 and 70 and realize he hasn't lived.
He hadn't, yep, exactly, that he had never lived.
So Lindsay essentially saved his life.
Right, absolutely. And she was, you know, like you said, she allowed him the ability to, she helped him to recognize that he didn't have to live in the box that his parents put him in. I'm not going to say he put himself in. I believe his parents put him in.
He went along with the program.
Right, and he went along with it, right. So Lindsay came and said, no, you don't have to be in this box. You should do what you want. If your passion is motorcycles, if your passion is going with your friends to Africa, do it. Do it. This life, you know, this life that you live is you only have one shot at it. You only get one chance to live this life. So live it to the fullest.
Yeah.
And that she did. She freed him, and to recognize him that.
She freed him.
To recognize that and say, you know what? No, I don't have to live up to the expectations of my family. I'm gonna be okay. And even the freeing of himself with his brother, because he felt obligated to his brother.
Yeah. And his mother.
Right. Because of what his brother did. Did he do it? Yeah, he did it for his brother, or did his brother save him? I think his brother saved him. His brother saved him.
So then he felt indebted. And that happens a lot. Right. That happened with Toni Braxton and her sisters. Really? She got the deals. Toni Braxton says she never got a chance to experience her career like she wanted to, or experience life, because she spent most of her career in life with guilt, because she got this solo deal, and her mother said, you better take care of your sisters and take care of your sisters with you. So she says in her autobiography, that she felt obligated and unhappy and trapped for the most part, because she couldn't even enjoy, because they put so much guilt on her. Like, we would have done it for you. Make sure you take care of your sisters. And she didn't even live how she wanted to live, because her mother put that guilt on her. And that happens a lot.
And she probably even took that deal that she got from LaFace, that horrible deal that she got from LaFace, because of the pressure that was put on her.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta
until
do this.
She didn't start getting free till 50, almost 50.
Yeah.
Where she said, you know what? Now I know that that's not my responsibility to take care of them. Even when she was doing the Braxton Family Value Show, she didn't want to do it. But Tamar said to her, you said that you was going to help us out, after she really been helping them out. She put them as background singers, all kind of stuff. Right. So that's why she ended up doing it. So now once the world seen them and they were able to make their money, she felt like she was free. But she had this debt for 20 something years that she felt like she had to, and so many people do that. I'm going to show this scene where, so we talked about Lindsay putting her child in the broom closet because she needed to bring her to work, and how he finds out and kind of scolds her, but then he flips it and gives a daycare and puts a daycare in a job. I remember one corporate job I worked at, they had a daycare, and there was no spots open, but I remember seeing that like, dang, so I thought that was good. So that would not only help her, but that will help other single parents, whether it's a single mom or father, be able to come to work and know. And she was like, it's free, to make it free. And I think that was such a powerful message, and so many companies in America need to really catch on to that. Like, listen, everybody is not making top dollar, but they have kids that they still need to take care of. And he made that. And I thought that was an act of kindness, an act of love, and an act of I'm listening and I'm hearing. And even though I couldn't relate, I get it. And I love that. And then I'm like, where's Tyler Perry? And then on top of that, he found out she was living in the car and gave her a corporate office or corporate apartment.
No.
He was feeling for her. He was feeling her.
I want you to live in it. What? It's one of our corporate apartments. We've got a few of them. Nobody's here most of the year. You can just live here as long as you need to.
And she got her child taken.
I know that you're proud. I know that you're used to doing everything on your own. Sometimes even the best of us, we all need a little help.
Mm-hmm. Woo! Yeah. So imagine your life starts to turn around. You start to begin to have this connection. You fall in love with this man who's rich, but the last thing you see him for is his richness. You see him for his heart.
That's
you
deep.
See him for his compassion.
I like that. That's deep. Right there,
yeah.
Girl. You were deep right there, girl.
It just came to me. It just came to me.
But that goes to show you. I mean, and I'm sitting here listening
because it was clear she didn't want him for his money.
Right. But you listen to that scene, and Wesley, he's like, we have these apartments. Nobody's here most of the year. To him, it's nothing. It's like,
and to her, it's everything.
It's everything.
Let somebody have said that to me. Like, you could raise your kids rent free. going through divorce.
As
Like,
long as you
what?
need-
I was like, where do I sign? We can all be in the same bed. Where do I sign? You know how much money a single mom can stack up and save and invest and to do if they didn't have to pay for a roof over their head?
Yeah.
And she was trying to get her daughter back.
Right. And that just goes to show you Wesley Deeds, his character that Lindsay talks about, the character of him, because she was just thinking, hey, you want me to clean it? Yeah, you just want me to clean this? It's like, no, I want you to live in it. You know, I want you to live in it. You know, he said, this is one of our, corporate apartments that we don't use that often. It's available. You have a need. And that's the beautiful thing about that. She had a need. He had the resources to be able to assist her. And to me, that's what life is about.
And that's what sexiness is too. That's some sexy stuff.
Y'all heard it, fellas. Y'all heard it, fellas. From a woman.
Come on. That mutual exchange, you got a need and I can fulfill it. And I'm not even trying, just that natural fulfillment. He might have gave her a place. He might have gave her, the daycare and money, but she gave him life.
I'm about to hurt you.
He gave him life.
I'm about to hurt you, Kendell.
Oh,
now that's a high value man.
Oh Lord, we're not mentioning that fool's name. We're not mentioning him. We gave him two. We gave him covers. We ain't even mentioned his name. I'm sorry.
Exactly. We ain't gonna say his name. I'm just gonna say that's a high value man right there. You know what I'm saying? and it has nothing to do with his money.
But guess what? She's a high volume woman,
Absolutely.
a high value woman. And the thing is, because she don't have money, some people will say she ain't bringing nothing to the table. She ain't high value, but she gave that man life. She gave him the permission to live. That's high value. She ain't got two nickels to rub with.
Pass the collection plate. We about to
okay.
We about to have service up in here.
Let me tell you something, honey. She didn't have no nickel to rub together. Somebody have been like, she ain't bringing nothing to the table. Why would you date beneath you? Why would you date beneath you? No, that woman gave him life. That's priceless.
Like
he gave her.
Like I said, she freed him to see who he was. Freed him, and like you said, you can't put a price tag on that. So,
but you know what's sexy to a woman though? When a man comes in and sees a need and fills it. Now, it could be money, but it doesn't have to be money. Right. It could be, I'm sitting on the floor eating and you come in here with a dining room set. Or if I'm sitting here trying to struggle with these bags, then you grab my keys out of my hand and you open this door and grab some of these bags. You get what I'm saying? It's about a woman that is sexy to a woman where a man sees a need and fills it. He don't ask no questions. He don't be like, you need help? You need a chair. You need a table. You eating on the floor. You need a table.
Just goes out and
you want to be like, dude, you see, I need a table. I'm sitting on the creek. You get what I'm saying? So, but to me, when somebody asks, that means they really don't want to do it or they really don't have the wherewithal to do that. But it's sexy when certain things don't even need to be said. And I'm sure vice versa. And that's what was happening there. The needs were being filled without even saying, hey, pour into me, fill me.
But here's the thing, you just made a great point. That was what he did for her and fulfilling her. But here's the flip side of that. What she poured into him. She saw that he needed to be free and to live. And it's like, look, she was like, nah, you shouldn't live your life restricted like that. You shouldn't have to feel obligated to your family. You shouldn't have to feel like you can't do this, you can't do that. And that's both of them pouring into each other in a way that had nothing to do with money. It just had to do with the resources that they had. And I'll give it to you like this, and I'm not trying to go spiritual on y'all or anything like that, but in the Bible where it talks about, I think it was Peter and James, they see the man sitting at the well, and they say, silver and gold we don't have, but what we have, this power that we have with who we know, we're gonna
Yep.
give that to you.
Yep.
And that's, it's not about money, it's about what you giving someone ways that you have to give, and them in turn being grateful
Ways
for.
that you have
Lindsay
to
was,
give.
Lindsay
Yes.
was grateful for. She
Yes.
was grateful for.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's. I know we're going deep. I know we're going.
No,
really
because
deep
this
with
is
movie, but,
layered. This is one of my favorites. So, all right.
Yeah.
So let's wind down about 10 minutes. So let's talk about when they all meet up. When Natalie sees Lindsay sees Natalie. Well, let's talk about this. How people don't tell the other woman that they engaged. So Lindsay didn't even know he was engaged.
No, when they went on the bus, when they went on
But remember,
the
they were seeing each other before that. He never told her, because remember, she was like,
No.
I didn't know you were engaged. Remember,
No,
she told her?
They just went to lunch. That was when they went to lunch. And he tells her then, hey, I'm engaged.
No, but remember, at first, she didn't know, because remember, she was shocked.
Right. No,
so that's what I'm saying. So should you immediately tell somebody, or should you?
Well, with that, I mean, when was a good time for him to say that? She came and asked him to go to lunch. You know what I'm saying? That was the first time that they'd seen each other after he had seen, after he
and everybody in the office was looking.
Right.
Because everybody in the office knew he was engaged.
Right. But she came and now he could have said when they went, I guess at the beginning of when they went to lunch, you know what I mean? But I think I don't think she had any she might have had some romantic feelings about him when she asked him to lunch, I'm saying, and everything like that. But I think once they went on that ride and them feelings started to rumble up between both of them, I think Wesley was like, oh, let me tell her that,
because he was feeling a little something.
No, he really was.
Yeah.
And you could tell he was like,
because it was a feeling of where he was falling in love with her because he was falling in love with him too.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
The real him, like he was loving it.
Yeah.
He was changing his clothes. He was listening to different music. He was eating something. When he started dancing, I was like, okay, Tyler Perry. It was two, and like when he was dancing by the window and Natalie was looking at him and he was dancing and he had a little leather jacket on and she was like,
who this? Who this man?
But what about when he had sex with her, his fiance? She knew something was up. And then they all are at the party. Fast forward to that. And they're all in the same room and they have the elevator conversation. Yeah,
I was going to say that the elevator confrontation was deep. That was where Natalie was like, oh, she done hit something in him. You know what I'm saying? And even before then,
and the mother looking at her like, this Bohemian, she don't look like the right creed for us. And guess what? Lindsay don't even care, and that's what I love.
Yeah,
being her.
Yeah, and that's the freeness of Lindsay. She's like, look, I'm just here. I'm going with these feelings that I have for this man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about like you said. It's not about the money. It's about who he is as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the mother, she wanted that classism. She doesn't fit into that that Natalie box.
Mm-hmm.
She's not.
It's starting to storm. I just saw the darkness come a little bit. But go ahead. My light, I can see it got dark.
She doesn't fit the Natalie persona. She's not straight cut.
Yeah.
Cut. She's not she's rough around the edges.
Yeah.
She wearing leather jackets and and pants and everything like that.
Yeah.
Whereas Natalie probably reminds the mother of herself.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And she's like, that's of because she's like, she reminds her of herself, so she wants her son to, who is like her husband, to marry someone who is like her, so that we continue this lifestyle that that all of us are accustomed to live.
Yeah.
So it's that elevated scene, and then when he takes Lindsay's hand, that was it, because the mother saw it, and Natalie saw it. It was like,
and she looking like, what?
Did I just see what I saw?
Yeah.
And the mother knew. The mother knew that it was beyond anything. I think the mother could tell it was beyond anything sexual or anything like that, because he had just confronted his brother. So that's a traumatic situation. Who do you cling to when you're going through something? And he clung to Lindsay and not Natalie.
That was good. But you know what was great? They were able to have an adult conversation. Wesley and Natalie, like, look, we know we ain't the ones. Yeah. That to me, I was like, Tyler Perry done wrote in some grown folk dialogue, because that was fully grown and mature, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a grown man and a grown woman conversation. This was something we need.
And they're hard to have when you got feelings and emotions involved, which told me that they were both doing the right thing instead of the hard thing.
Right, exactly. We're not going to be together, and then, like you said, when we get older, it was we've lived our lives being with someone that we really didn't want to be with, or that someone that we really weren't in love with. Yeah, I like you. You're a great person. I can't say anything negative about you, but I'm not in love with you.
Yeah.
You know, and I believe Natalie understood that the way that he looked at Lindsay was not the way that he looked at her.
Yep. So let's go to it's just so true. Because imagine you're the woman and you look at your man. Look at another woman like that. I'd have been like, who is he? I've never seen him look at me like that. Who's he looking at? And that right there is heart sinking, but it's also a reality check.
Yeah, something real quick too. But the elevator, him taking Lindsay's hand in the elevator, confirmed
even to the mama,
Natalie, what happened in the bedroom. It was like,
and even to the mama.
Yep, absolutely.
The brother too.
Yep. Yeah.
So let's talk about, as we wind down, the last scene where that's sexy too. Can I get a plane ticket? Ain't nobody gave me, I've gone, like, ain't nobody, the dramatics of how you give the plane ticket. Like,
I know, right?
Instead, meet me, like Jason's lyrics, where my feet, so whatever. Like, that was like,
we didn't have that on the list, did we?
Yeah, we got to put that on there.
Yeah, we had to put that on our list.
Yes, but how she says that, that part, meet me by the old, the bridge, blah, blah, blah. Like, he did one of them, you gonna let my hand fall off. Like, that's romantic. So he gave her the ticket, and an open ticket to, what's Africa?
Africa, yep. Where he was gonna meet up with his boys.
Not for just me, but for my daughter too.
Well,
come on, it's things sexy that people think certain things are sexy, and everybody has this whole definition of idea what sexy is. But that's the kind of sexy to me. Like again, I ain't gotta open my mouth. Like, you putting your money where your mouth is. You're putting me first. You're saying, hey, this is what I want to be. Not like, well, if you want to come, make sure you get your ticket in 2 weeks. Like, to me, that ain't gonna make me want to come. Like, you want me to join you, but you want me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a lady. I want to be treated like a lady.
Well, that was the privileged part of Wesley. because
Yes.
he had access to those resources
Yes.
to do.
But
those
even
kinds of things.
if you don't have that access that he has, and you're not rich like that, even to say, I'm gonna give you a $50 gift card to Southwest. I can't pay the whole thing. You got to pay your other 50, or that's just showing the effort.
Right.
That, hey, I really want you there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if you can't buy me a ticket to Africa, you're still showing you know, you got me luggage or something. It's not about the money. It's about the showing me that you want me with you.
Right. Right.
Like, you know, and it's just about those kind of gestures, just to show, because it's like action meet the words, not just the words. And then you tell me you want to come to Africa, and I don't hear from you for 2 weeks, and you saying I'm getting on a plane tomorrow.
And that was the thing too, when you think about that, it wasn't that he just said, like you said, he just decided to live this part of his life that she had introduced him to.
And told his mama too.
Right. But he said, not only do I want to go and live this life that you introduced me to, I want you to be a part of it. Because you introduced me to it. And I
don't want to spend my days with nobody but you. Right.
And I want to experience it with you.
Right.
Because you're the one who helped me to see what it is. So yeah, absolutely.
And I just think that was beautiful. And he was like looking like she ain't gonna come. She was on that plane. The little girl's hair was combed, child. It was done. It showed that even when you feel you have the whole time they was downtrodden, because a lot of mothers might feel that way. Like, dang, I'm just trying to survive. You know, I know she looking like that. I just can't. But when she got happy and she was feeling better and she was feeling in love, she was even brushing the child's hair.
Yeah.
Basically, he said presentation is everything. Those are the kind of things that I like. And I think sometimes men might get them mixed up with a woman wants somebody with money, or a woman wants a man to pay, or a woman wants, I think that's the fine line where some men think, like when they call certain women gold diggers, or when they say, now there is a place for those. I'm not saying that they're just out for somebody's money. So that is a true statement. But sometimes even like with me saying, like, it would be, you know, you brought luggage. It's not the amount of money that you spent, it's the effort. And that you're saying, you know what, this is what you know what I'm saying? So it's that type of thing too. You know, not to be confused with, I'm just going to take his money. You know, he going to give me that ticket. Then when I get to Africa, I'm going to go on about my business just to get there. You know, you got those women too. But you got the other women to see the effort, because at the end of the day, most women want to be treated like ladies and to feel like their man is the protector or provider. Even if he's providing barely nothing, he's making the effort.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that the woman is not doing the same.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think that's the difference. You know, like, it's not about like, oh, he's rich, he can't buy this, but can you buy me a luggage tag, a cute one that I like, just like the colors I like, to say this is my luggage, just something to show that effort.
Lindsay gave him something that he could never afford.
Yep.
He couldn't put a price tag on what she poured into him.
And that's the beauty of it. No matter how much money Gabrielle Union had as Natalie, no matter her status, no matter her beauty, she was not capable of giving it, because she fell into this is how he is, not like, let me help him live.
Right.
Let me help him come out of the box. It was almost as she made fun of him for staying in the box, instead of saying, you know what, let's try something else. Even though she tried to do it, she didn't do it in the way that resonated with him. It was almost like a judgment.
Well, not even just a judgment, but she didn't understand what he liked or what he loved. Lindsay listened to what he said.
Yeah.
She knew he liked motorcycles.
Yeah. She was free.
Right. Lindsay knew that he wanted to go be with his friends in Africa. She was like, well, why don't you go do it?
And he's like, I really could. So that goes to show you too, most people can't go to Africa because they don't have the resources, the money, the passport, and all of that. He had the resources, but he didn't even know that he could do it. He didn't even know he could step out of line. Then when he told his mom, like, I'm living for me, and then realized the mom was all for it.
Right. She was like, yeah, do you, baby? I mean, and if Natalie had paid attention to Wesley, she would have picked up on it. Well, didn't you say your boys were over in Africa? How come you haven't gone there? But like you said, she was looking at Wesley from being in that box and
being a good catch.
Right. Didn't say, hey, babe, what, your boys over there. Why don't we go? Do something out of the box. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in what we want.
Mm-hmm. And she put him in that box too.
Right. She put him in the box. He ain't
gonna change. That's him. He gonna do this. And she didn't give him enough credit that if he had the right, and that's the thing too about having the right mate. Hello.
Absolutely. The right, and I ain't trying to give him no kind of credit either, but Steve Harvey said that sometimes the right woman will bring out in the right man the right thing.
Yeah, and saying? Vice versa.
Right, exactly.
For men.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's why you're different in some relationships. You got women that will give and love and do all of this affectionate with one man.
Yep.
But then she might get with another man and don't show nothing because that person is not bringing it out of them.
Right. Exactly.
So it's that connection and that mate that can bring out certain things. And that's what Lindsay did. This was a good one, Leroy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this was, like you said, this was one of Tyler's, I think, best writing. And that's why we chose to do these particular movies by Tyler Perry, because they were in depth.
Yes.
They had layers, as you talked about, and the stories, give you something to think about in real, real life. Not that the other ones don't, but these particular ones we felt like were great. It was great, great writing, great acting. And then the production of them was very well done.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched this movie at least 6, 7, 8 times. I might even watch it tonight. But sometimes it depends on what I'm feeling. Sometimes I gotta fast forward her getting put out. Like that's just pulls on the heart.
That was a tough part. Seeing
that in Pursuit of Happiness is certain parts of them that like you gotta just skip past if you don't feel like crying.
I'm gonna tell you what was hard too, in addition to her getting put out or driving up and stuff being on the side of the road, was when they took her daughter from.
Ooh, yes.
That one was that was hurtful too.
Knowing that she wasn't a neglectful parent, she was trying to make it. It's so many
just trying to make it. Right. Exactly.
So many people.
Yeah.
It's just like woo-wee. But yeah, this was a good one. I might watch it again tonight. But everybody, if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is More Than Just a Movie. This is episode 22, I believe. Make sure you go back and watch them all. The playlist, More Than Just a Movie, you'll see one of your favorite movies. Don't fret, Tyler Perry month is not over. We have next week. Should we tell them what we're doing next week, or should we surprise?
Let's go ahead and tell them.
Acrimony, right? So Acrimony is next week. Now, I saw that in the movie. Some people say that movie was trash. I've seen it a million times just because of certain parts of it. I like to see, as a life coach, as a woman, redemption. Actually, Daryl loves that movie because of the redemption part of it. But it's so many different twists and turns and mental health. It's so many, if you get past, they filmed it in 7 days and people were talking about the wigs again and people were talking about how certain things are, but we're going to try to stick to the meat of what Tyler Perry was doing with this movie. But Leroy, what you got to tell the people?
Hey, y'all know what to do. Y'all hit that notification bell, like, subscribe, and comment, because we want to know what y'all think. We want to know what y'all think about good deeds. We want to know what y'all think about the family that prays, because this is Tyler Perry month. So we're focusing on all the great movies that Tyler Perry has written outside of Medea. We have 2 that we've gone over so far, and then we have a couple more that we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. So certainly want to stay tuned. Like, subscribe, share, comment. We want all that. Want you to do all of that. All right.
Yes. And this is actually throughout our shows. I think this is the longest episode. I think this might be the longest episode. But it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of meat and a lot of goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the last week of August, we're going to do 2 Tyler Perry movies in one episode. So that might go maybe for 2 hours or maybe an hour and a half. Typically, our time is an hour and a half. But thank you, everybody, for watching. As Leroy said, subscribe, like, and share. Go back and look at some of the other More Than Just a Movies. And if you like this, please comment. And as you see, we talk about real life, we talk about our lives, and we talk about the movie. No one else is reviewing classic Black films in the way that we're doing it. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Basine, get better. We are praying for you. And thank you for watching. She said not even death can keep her from this show. Yes, she is our fan. If you want to see who we're talking about as our super fan, like I was a super fan on Divorce Court. You got to watch that YouTube. The YouTube video is right here.
I'm as soon as I get off here, I'm going to go watch that because I need to know.
Yes, and I'm talking about my experience on there.